I know why you're still awake. It's not because you're not tired. You're exhausted. It's not because you don't want to sleep. You desperately do. It's because the moment the world went quiet, your mind finally had space to speak, and it chose. Now you tried everything. You put the phone down, then picked it back up. You closed your eyes, then opened them again. You turned to one side, then the other. And still, something inside you refused to settle. Because night doesn't just bring silence. It brings truth during the day. You're functional, you respond. You perform, you move, you do what needs to be done. You hold conversations, you meet expectations. You convince everyone, including yourself, that you're fine, but night strips all that away. At night, there's no distraction strong enough to drown out the thoughts you've been postponing. No one needs anything from you. No one is watching, no one is waiting for a reply. And that's when it happens. That quiet heaviness in your chest, that familiar tightening behind your eyes, that feeling you can't explain but recognize instantly. You're not awake because you're lazy or restless. You're awake because your mind finally feels safe enough to tell the truth. You've been carrying too much for too long. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way people applaud. In the quiet, invisible way. The kind that doesn't leave marks on your body, but leaves them on your nervous system. You've been the strong one. The understanding one, the one who says, it's okay. I'll handle it, the one who adapts, adjusts, endures, and somewhere along the way, your body learnt something dangerous. That rest only comes after everything is done, but everything is never done. So even now lying there, you feel like you should be thinking, planning, solving, preparing. Your mind keeps scanning for unfinished business, conversations, you replay choices. You question moments you wish you handled differently. And the cruelest part, you blame yourself for being awake. You think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just sleep like everyone else? Let me tell you something clearly before we go any further. There is nothing wrong with you. What you're experiencing is not weakness. It's not overthinking. It's not failure. It's accumulated weight. You've spent so long being responsible for how things turn out, that your mind doesn't know how to stand down. You've been emotionally alert for years. You've learned to anticipate problems before they happen. You've trained yourself to stay one step ahead, because at some point in your life, being caught off guard hurt too much. So now, even when the lights are off, your system doesn't believe it's safe yet. That's why you're still awake. Not because you lack discipline, but because your body hasn't been given permission to rest. Think about it. How often do you truly stop? Not pause, not distract, not scroll, but actually stop. How often do you let yourself exist without monitoring, fixing, or preparing? Very rarely. Because you've been surviving in a world that rewarded your strength and ignored your exhaustion. People rely on you, expect things from you, lean on you, and even when they don't say it out loud, you feel it. Don't fall apart. Don't slow down, don't need too much. So you keep going until night arrives. And suddenly, all the emotions you postponed during the day line up at the door of your mind, waiting to be acknowledged. The sadness you didn't have time to feel. The anger you swallowed to keep the peace. The disappointment you minimized because others have it worse. The loneliness you don't talk about because you don't want to sound ungrateful. Night doesn't create these feelings. It simply removes the noise that kept them buried. That's why the ache feels sharper at 2 a.m. That's why memories resurface without warning. That's why questions you thought you'd already answered come back, louder than before. And here's the part most people don't tell you. Being awake like this doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've been strong for too long without release. Your mind is asking not for solutions, but for recognition. It's saying, please notice what I've been carrying. You don't need to fix your entire life tonight. You don't need to make big decisions. You don't need to figure everything out before morning. What you need, what your system is actually craving, is something much simpler and much harder. Permission. Permission to stop holding everything together. Permission to not have answers. Permission to let the weight rest somewhere else for a while. But you were never taught how to do that. You were taught how to push through, how to be resilient, how to stay strong. No one taught you how to be held. So here you are, awake, tired, wired, waiting for something you can't name but deeply need, and maybe for the first time. Instead of fighting this moment, you can let it speak, because there is a reason you're still awake. And it's not punishment, it's communication. Your body is trying to return you to yourself. Stay here with me for a moment longer, not because you have to, but because this is the part most people never reach. You see, the world teaches you to treat sleeplessness like a flaw. Something to correct, something to suppress with noise, scrolling pills, distraction. But what if this wakefulness isn't an enemy? What if it's the most honest moment you've had all day? Think about it. When was the last time you listened to yourself, without rushing to fix something? When did you last sit with your own feelings without judging them, measuring them, or trying to make them disappear? Probably not recently, because during the day, survival takes priority. You move through tasks, conversations, obligations. You give pieces of yourself away, in small, invisible ways by night. There's nothing left to perform with. And that's when your nervous system finally speaks. It says, I am tired of carrying this alone. I am tired of being alert. I am tired of pretending this weight doesn't exist. You've been living in a state of quiet vigilance for so long that rest feels unfamiliar, even suspicious. Your body doesn't know how to shut down because for years, it learned that staying aware was safer than relaxing, safer than trusting, safer than letting go. That didn't happen randomly. At some point in your life, being unprotected, maybe you grew up needing to read the room. Maybe you learned early that mistakes had consequences. Maybe you were hurt when you were relaxed and decided never to do that again. So you adapted, you became capable, responsible, self-contained. People admired that about you. But what no one told you is that adaptation becomes exhaustion. When it never ends, your system doesn't need motivation. It doesn't need discipline. It doesn't need another plan. It needs safety, and safety isn't silence. Safety is permission to exist without monitoring yourself. Permission to not be useful. Permission to stop proving that you're okay. Right now, as you're awake, something inside you is testing a question. What happens if I stop holding everything together? That question scares you because for so long, you have been the thing holding everything together. But listen carefully, rest is not the opposite of strength. Rest is where strength renews itself. You are not weak for feeling this way at night. You are not failing because your mind won't quiet down. You are processing years of unattended emotional labor. You have spent a long time being the container for problems. Emotions, expectations, and containers eventually need to be emptied. That's what this moment is, not a breakdown, a release point. Here's the truth that changes everything. If you let it land, you do not have to carry tomorrow, tonight. Not tonight. You don't need to solve the future in the dark. You don't need to rehearse conversations that haven't happened. You don't need to punish yourself with hindsight. The mind does that when it believes rest must be earned. But rest is not a reward, it's a biological requirement. And the most radical thing you can do right now is not force sleep, but allow stillness. Stillness doesn't mean silence. It means stopping the fight. Instead of asking why can't I sleep, try asking what is my body asking me to feel, not analyze, not solve. Just feel. Maybe it's grief you never named. Maybe it's disappointment you minimized. Maybe it's loneliness you learned to normalize. Whatever it is, it doesn't need fixing. It needs acknowledgement. You've been strong in ways that required you to disappear from yourself. That kind of strength costs something. Tonight, you don't need to disappear anymore. You are allowed to be unfinished. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to rest without explaining why. If sleep comes, let it come. If it doesn't, let your body at least feel unguarded. Put one hand where you feel the tension most: chest, stomach, jaw. That simple act tells your nervous system something it hasn't heard in a long time. I'm here, you're not alone. And slowly, very slowly, that vigilance will loosen. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped resisting yourself. This is what people mean when they talk about healing, but never explain healing isn't fireworks. It's exhaling without bracing for impact. And whether you fall asleep in 5 minutes or 50, doesn't matter as much as this. Tonight, you didn't abandon yourself. You listened, and that's where real rest begins.